Hey everybody, it is Kendell Lenice and welcome ba-dum-bum-bum, to Shine with Kendell Lenice. I'm so glad that you're here with me today and every time I do this podcast. This is the podcast that's in its 8th season, y'all. 8 seasons of Shine with Kendell Lenice. And you can catch this podcast anywhere. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Amazon Audible, and more.
Shine with Kendell Lenice. Real talk for real people. Let's shine together.
I hope you're doing well. I hope everything is doing splendidly in your life. I appreciate you. I appreciate this life. So many people have passed away. And I just send my condolences to the families, whether they're a celebrity or someone that you know and love. All right, so today we're going to be first, subscribe to the podcast if you can, rate it, comment, but most importantly, let people know about this podcast. Let me tell you something special about my podcast. It's Black woman owned, ran. I do the producing. I do the guest booking if I have guests. I do the topics and come up with the topics. I produce all of the sound effects and all of the ads except the intro that was outsourced. But I got it I looked for a person and did that. I do everything. So it really means so much to me that you all continue to listen. It means a lot. I have my loyal listeners, so thank you so much for continuously subscribing and coming on to any platform that you're in, whether it's Spreaker, Spotify, iHeart, Apple, Google, Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, wherever you're listening. I thank you that you're taking the time to do that with me. It means a lot to me. And if you've just stumbled upon this podcast, this is your first time listening, so glad that you are here as well. Thank you so much. All right, today, y'all, we're going to be talking about, and if you just tuned in, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to sip some tea as I speak to you. So if you hear that, please excuse me in advance. I'll try to be quiet. All right. This podcast is all about talking with your hands. It says a lot about you when you talk with your hands. So this is entitled, Let Your Hands Do the Talking, which brings me to this week's Life Note. All right, it's time for this week's Life Note. So, Life Note is a quote, a saying, an idea that will take you through this episode, this specific topic, through the week or through the rest of your life. So this quote is by someone I don't know. I found it on Brainy Quote, Abby Lee Kershaw. She says, I like my hands. They do most of the talking. That is this week's Life Note. I like my hands. They do most of the talking. So we're just going to get right into it. How many people know people who talk with their hands? Actually, I'm doing the podcast right now, and I'm the only one in my office doing the podcast, and I'm talking with my hands, and you guys can't even see me. I'm emphasizing with my hands. I'm moving my fingers around, with my hands. So are you a person that talks with their hands? I find certain things fascinating. This podcast is all about education, elevation, and entertainment, right? And I just went through, I didn't even do that normal introduction that I play, because I just wanted to jump right in, and then I'm going to jump off. So since I didn't play that, I'm thinking, you know what? Let me just, if you have never listened before, I'm going to go backwards for a minute and then we're going to get right into the show. But let me introduce myself. Welcome to Shine with Kendell Lenice. I am your host, Transformational Life Coach Kendell Lenice. I'm also an author, a content creator, a speaker, a healing coach, a certified meditation practitioner, and a lover of people. I want to see you win, and that's what this podcast is about. It's a life podcast. You'll get some live life coaching, you'll get some amazing guests, and most importantly, you'll heal and laugh. It's all about education, elevation, and entertainment. I don't know how you stumbled upon this podcast, but I'm so glad you did. If you haven't already, please subscribe and rate if you can. We are available on all podcast outlets. Also, follow me on social media at Kendell Lenice across the board. Now on to this week's show. All right, so now you know who I am and what I'm about, so let's get right into it. All right, so I find it fascinating when I notice certain things. I like to observe, and as a life coach, I like to see life lifing. I like to see people in their elements doing what they do. And one time I was watching television. I think I was watching the show Black Love that just wrapped its last season on OWN. And I was watching the couples. And I was watching one in particular who was just really talking with her hands. And if she was doing it a lot, that I was like literally focused on her hands. And I started saying, you know what, let me do some research on that. And let me see what this talking with their hands is all about. So let's get right into it. What does it mean when you talk with your hands? Well, researchers have found that talking with your hands lightens the cognitive load of speaking, especially when you're talking about something abstract, conceptual, or strategic. Using your hands make it feel it's easier for your brain to navigate complex ideas. That's interesting. So you're telling the story with your hands. It makes sense, right? As I'm talking with my hands right now. And it's so funny when you see someone on television. Sometimes I don't talk with like when I'm doing my shows and I'm interviewing guests, I try to make it a point to not let hands distract me so I can focus on my guests, and so if somebody is watching, they could focus. And then sometimes I'll use my hands to express an idea, or like this just said. But I want to make sure that my guest gets the shine, right? Because we can all shine together. And that's what this podcast is about, as well as just shining so you can be the best version of you. But so let's see what people say. Huffington Post writes something, and they say hand gestures help us take what's in our mind and make it reach other people. Gestures is really linked to speech, and gesturing while you can talk really powers you up in your thinking. So, fascinating sciences behind talking with your hands. And that's in the Huffington Post. A brain region known as Broca's area is at least partly responsible for this. It's connected to speech production, but it's also active when we wave our hands, according to Goldman. Gesturing helps you understand people. We gather information from others' body language, as well as from our scientific words. Hand gestures often underscore the important points someone is making. And we know that. But it's interesting. So gesturing can act as a second language. Hand motions can reveal information that may be absent in our speech. For instance, a gesture might signal that a certain point is more important than others, or that the speaker is still wrapping his or her head around the idea. So I want you to think about that for a moment. Do you speak with your hands? And if you do, what does that say? Is that something that you're doing to try to stress your point? You ever see somebody like put their one hand in the other hand, like the side of their hand into the hand, and they're like, pop, 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 pop. I'm doing it. Y'all can't see me. But you got the left hand, let's just say, if you're right-handed, and you take the side of your hand where your pinky is, and you pound it in the left hand that's flat. Do you ever see people do that? That they really stress it, or people that like put their fist in each other, like they interchange their fists. I've seen people do that, and it's like some of them look like, okay, they mean business, and then some of them look like what they're saying, their words are not able to convey what they really mean and the significance of what they really mean. And it was even a question asked, like, is talking with your hands unprofessional? So if you're at work and you're in a meeting and you're talking with your hands, is that unprofessional? And this came from Forbes. So talking with I'm not a hands expert, so I go to some of the experts. So just so you know. So talking with your hands is unprofessional. If you respond to this myth by keeping your hands still when speaking, you are limiting your effectiveness as a communicator. Not only do gestures help listeners track and interpret what you're saying, brain images have shown that gesturing is linked to speech. So it's not unprofessional. Someone asked that question probably because when you Google something, it's a question there. Somebody usually asks it because someone said something down the line. So previous research has suggested that certain hand gestures can signal dominance, and that speaking with gestures is generally tends to lead to evaluated as warm, agreeable, and energetic. So that's what I want to talk about some more. I want to talk about what this says about your personality when you talk with your hands. Be right back. Hey everybody, it's Kendell Lenice. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to go on over to Amazon.com to purchase my latest books, as well as shopleniceboutique.com. For more information about my coaching, visit livingtruelivingyou.com. Thanks so much. Now back to the show. All right, we are busy back. And I want to know what it says about your personality when you talk with your hands. Do you think it says anything? What do you think? All right, let's see. Talk to myself when there's no one else around. All y'all youngins might not know that song, but I don't know why that just came in my head. That is Christopher Williams. All right. Researchers have found that talking with your hands lightens the cognitive load, right? But what does it say about your personality? It says that you're more reachable. You're more approachable. You're warm and fuzzy when you speak with your hands. Did you know that? Did you know that what you were doing with your hands says a lot about you? And it's interesting because even with the quote, she said, I let my hands do the talking. So it makes me think about sign language. And y'all, I just have to say, because this man went viral and my daughter sent it to me and like, wait a minute, that's the guy at Juneteenth at the picnic, well, the festival. So in Baltimore, Maryland, they had AFRAM, the African American Festival, right? And they had El DeBarge up there. They had the OJs up there. They had Rotimi up there. And was somebody else up there? I can't remember. But they had the signers out there. So they had all the signers out there. So this one guy, black guy, pink suit, down, like you couldn't tell him he was not on the stage about to sing. So he came out there fresh to death. And y'all, he was a signer, sign language. And he was moving around with his hand doing the sign language like he was emphasizing. If I knew sign language like that, I would know that that concert was popping based off of him. And even if you Google it, you might see signer in a pink suit or something like that. And he was head to toe clean. Like because he was on the stage with the singers. And I know that they understood that concert was popping, that those singers were singing, the way that he was moving around and dancing with his hands. So, of course, even if you don't do sign language, you can really emphasize what goes on in your mind if you're not able to bring it out of your mouth. All right. So one of my favorite sites, you guys know, if you listen to this podcast, is Psychology Today. Your hand gestures are speaking for you. Do you know what your hand gestures are communicating as you talk or present? Did you know? So let's see what Psychology Today says. Everyone talks with their hand at least sometimes. Other people have tendencies to make overly large gestures that can be distracting, and still others don't use their hands much at all. No matter which camp you fall into, it's important to pay attention to hand gestures while you're communicating or making a presentation. You may be unconsciously communicating in ways you don't realize. Wow. Many gestures are universal across cultures and geographies. Here are some examples. Y'all want to hear some examples? All right. So using no hand gestures, let's hear what they say about that. If you don't use your hands at all, they may be perceived as indifference. Your audience may feel that you don't care about what they're talking about. Hands hidden. So if you hide your hands, if your audience can't see your hands, it's hard for them to trust you. So if you got your hands in your pockets, how many speakers have you seen on a stage with their hands in their pocket and they don't even know that they're untrustworthy, where it could just be that they're nervous and they have nervous energy and don't know what to do with their hands? Hands open and your palms at a 45-degree angle. What is that? Communicates that you're being honest and open. So I need to figure out, I'm moving my hands. How am I supposed to know a 45-degree angle? That's deep. All right. I got to look that up later. And then, so you guys, that could be your homework. Look at a picture of your hands being at a 45-degree angle. Because that means that you are being honest and open. And I know you want to be honest and open. All right, let's see what else they say. Hands open with palms down communicates that you are certain about what you're talking about. So I'm doing all of this stuff. So hands down and palms open. No, hands open and palms down. It's almost like you're holding your hands up like, I don't know. I'm going to do this one time live so I'm going to do this at one of the conferences I speak at, or maybe a live on my social media platform. So make sure you guys follow me, and I'm going to try to do these things with my hands. All right. So palms facing each other with your fingers together communicates that you have an expertise about what you're talking about. Oh, I believe that. So palms facing each other with your fingers together. It's almost like the praying hand emoji, even though they said that was a high five emoji. Did y'all know that? But we use it as a praying hands. So when you do that, it looks like you know what you're talking about. So y'all, if y'all see me on there, and I know with my expertise in coaching and speaking and healing and aging, I'm going to have my hands like that because that's going to show people that I mean business and that I know what I'm talking about. All right, palms facing each other. No, that one. Okay, so hands grasp in front of you communicates that you're nervous or tentative, as does touching your face, hair, or neck. Wow. So communicates that you're nervous or tentative if your hand grasps in front of you. So I guess I'm trying to picture that. Hands grasped in front of you. So communicates that you're nervous, tentative, maybe like wringing your hands a little bit. I guess that's what they mean. Or if you touch your hair or touch your face. But I've spoken and touched my neck, and not because I was nervous, but maybe because my neck itched. But you got to watch that. I know years ago, 20 plus years ago, almost 30 years ago, when I took journalism and all of that, I remember like you couldn't move your hair, you couldn't touch your face, you couldn't touch your neck. But sometimes you can't help it. So that is communicating something that you may not even realize. Hand gestures that are larger than outlines of your body. Hand gestures that are larger than the outlines of your body. Let's see what that says. Communicates a large idea or conception. But if all your hand gestures are large, you will communicate that you're chaotic or out of control. What? Let me read that again. So hand gestures, and these are blind reads because I like to have fun with you guys. So hand gestures that are larger than outlines of your body. So if you're like that big old whale and you extend your arms past your body, it shows that you're chaotic and out of control. All right, we got it. Y'all, if you speaking with your hands, if you're doing presentations at work, if you're a teacher, if you are a speaker, a coach, if you are just talking with your friends and they hear this podcast and you do all this stuff, they're going to be like, yo, they out of control. Wow. I bet you didn't know that. I don't know if anyone else finds this fascinating. If you do, send me an email at KendellLenice@gmail.com or send me a DM or a post, a comment telling me let me know, because I had no idea. Of course, we know everything means something, but certain things just fascinate me. We're going to take a quick break, and our last break, and we'll be right back. We're going to talk about how hand gestures can make you more charismatic when we come back. Hey guys, I want to talk to you about Goli Nutrition. Now, you know I'm not going to come to you if I don't believe in something. Are you someone that doesn't like to take pills but you care about your health? Are you someone that doesn't like the taste of apple cider vinegar even though your mom and grandmom said there are so many health benefits to them? Well, I have good news for you. You need to try the world's first apple cider vinegar gummy. It's a source of powerful vitamins and nutrients. It's made with vitamin B9 and B12 to help support healthy immune systems, healthy nervous systems, heart health, and so on and so on and so on. Also, Goli Nutrition has ashwagandha gummies that helps you calm down, relax, release. It reduces stress and it promotes quality of sleep, as well as Super Fruits Beauty Gummies. Now, who doesn't want that? It has a fantastic fruity taste, and it also promotes collagen formation, restores radiance, and supports overall wellness. Y'all know I'm here for that. Also, Super Green Gummies. They're green and they're made from greens and they taste yummy. They also support digestive health, healthy liver function, a healthy immune system, and nervous system. Y'all need to go on over to goligummy.com. goligummy.com. Better yet, goli.com to make it simple for you. Also, if you use the code Kendell Lenice, you will get a discount on all your purchase for that day. And guess what? You can continue to use my discount code Kendell Lenice to get everything you need for great health. Y'all know I'm about great health. If you want to be here, take care of yourself and go on over to health.goalie.com. If you can't figure that out or remember that, Google Goalie Gummy and get yours today by using the code Kendell Lenice. All right, get your Goalie Gummies. All right, so using your hands makes you more likable and charismatic. Did you know that? Studies have found that people who communicate through active gesturing tend to be evaluated, as I talked about earlier, as warm, agreeable, and energetic, while those who remain still or whose gestures seem mechanical or wooden are seen as logical, cold, and analytical. All right, so which one are you? Are you cold and logical, or are you agreeable and warm? Or can you be both? Because sometimes you can be logical and analytical, and then sometimes you can be agreeable. But that goes, I'm not a psychologist, but I'm sure that goes even deeper than that. Like, can you be both? Or typically are people just one thing? So is talking with your hands even attractive? And many say, yes, it is. The habit of using your hands during vocal expression implies high levels of energy and attraction. So if you're out there speaking and talking and, whether you're on a corner in front of a store and you're talking to your friend, or whether you're at the bus stop or the train stop, or whether you're on the stage speaking to millions of people, whatever you're doing, you're probably talking with your hands, as I'm talking with my hands right now. So to me, right now, in this moment, I am warm and I am agreeable. And maybe that's why random people come up to me and it's like, you know what? I feel like I've known you forever. You remind me of a cousin, an auntie, a sister. I'm telling you everything and I never tell anybody this, but there's something about you other than it's the God in me. Hey, it's the God in me. Other than that, it must be because I talk with my hands. Maybe that's why I'm attracting folks. What does it mean? I just want to see something for a second. I want to see. Someone asks, is it feminine to talk with your hands? And this says from BetterHelp.com. It's a therapy site. They say many women talk with their hands, meaning that when they get emotionally invested in a conversation, they use expressive hand gestures. It's true in situations where they're friends, partners, or even in a professional setting. They talk with their hands. So, of course, we've seen men talk with their hands, but that's a great point because I wonder if, and I'm sure someone's had done the research to say, hey, do men talk with their hands more, or are men more analytical? Because that's been said that women are warm and agreeable and men are logical and analytical. But as a woman, I can be logical, and as a man, he could be warm and agreeable. So I don't buy into certain things like that. But I wonder, I wonder. And I'm going to do a show too on body language. That will probably be, I'm going to it'll probably be an interview in between, to interview of that I did. That will probably be in between this episode and then the next episode. But I think I'm going to do a show on body language because the show is about education, elevation, and entertainment. And you can get all of those things in that, to educate you or something that maybe you hadn't looked up, right? But maybe you were fascinated or interested in it, but you just been doing other stuff and you ain't had time to be seeing what that means, or you haven't even paid attention. So on bigthink.com, in the neuropsych department, it says talking with your hands alters the perception of your words. A team of researchers in the Netherlands found that hand gestures, when you use strategically, influence how certain words are heard. Participants were 20% more likely to hear and interpret the words being spoken when accompanied by a matching hand gesture, and 40% as likely to hear the words wrong when the gestures did not match. Interesting. Let's see what this is. Previous research has suggested that certain hand gestures can signal dominance, as I talked about earlier a little bit, and that speaking with gestures in general tends to lead to more being more evaluated as warm. So every expert is saying that you're warmer. Now, I don't want you to go start trying to talk with your hands if you don't do that, because then you're going to be looking like you're just waving flies away, and then you're going to look pretty awkward. But I really want you to take a moment, right? As a life coach, I'm going to give you your homework. Take a moment to watch 1 or 2 television shows or movies and see how many times someone is talking with their hands. And also, I want you to mentally or even write down, just log it. Like, were their hands gestures matching what they were saying, or were you able to understand them more because they use their hands and they emphasize points? Now, when I'm saying slowly, because they use their hands and emphasize points, my hands are moving like my mouth is moving it in those ways. And I'm kind of like hitting the air when I'm saying that. So I guess that is true, because I wanted to emphasize certain things and I did that. And with my hands, I'm doing that and it seems to work. So, lastly, I just want to, let me see one thing. I'm trying to decide if I wanted to give you a sneak peek of the body language as I will say this, because I will be doing a show on body language. So make sure if you subscribe, you'll see me go live on my next episode and you'll be able to. So remember, I'll have an interview in between. I may do the interview at the end of this week. So next week I'll do body language, so that way you won't be confused. But body language is 93% of communication. This is from Forbes magazine. If you think that all you have to do to be an effective communicator is watch your body language, you'll underestimate the power of verbal a message. 93% myth is based on this misquoting of a classic study by Dr. Albert. So the total impact of the message is based on 7% word, 38% tone of voice and volume and rate of speech. Vocal pitch, 55%. No, vocal pitch is still within the tone. 55% is facial expression, hand gestures, postures, and other forms of body language. So that's the biggest way to communicate, using your body language. So the facial expressions and the hand gestures are the most effective way. Wow. Okay. So let me, and hopefully you can do this as we end and come to a close of this episode of Shine with Kendell Lenice. Let's talk about takeaways. This week's wow moment. Takeaways from today's show. All right, my wow moment and takeaway from today's show is that sometimes you don't even know what you're saying by using your hands. You could be saying something total opposite with your hands that you're saying out of your mouth. So I think that that's my wow moment. And also make sure I keep my nails done, which I always do, because if I'm talking with my hands like I'm doing now, they need to be right. Goodness gracious. But yeah, that's my wow moment takeaway. All right, we have come to the end of this episode of Shine with Kendell Lenice. Again, make sure you subscribe to the podcast if you can, follow if you can. I'm available everywhere, even YouTube. The audio is on YouTube. So definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Kendell Lenice. I'm growing that page over there. And follow me on, Instagram, Facebook, all the social media outlets. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, you are a star, so don't allow anyone to dim your shine. Until next time, God bless. Peace. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at Kendell Lenice. And also go on over to my YouTube channel and subscribe. Again, thank you so much for your support. God bless y'all. Peace. Thanks for listening. This has been a Kenny Lynn production.